I get a lot of questions about my opinions on the live-action Spider-Man costumes, specifically whenever I go live on TikTok. Whenever I get asked, I usually give like a passing answer, but I think if I really sat here and thought on my answer and really dissected my thoughts and opinions on it, I could probably give a more solid option whenever I'm asked, and I guess reach the full evolution of my opinion. In this series, I will be dissecting each and every live-action Spider-Man costume, with the exception of any homemade costumes, which I will cover in a singular video. I'll be covering how well the costume benefits the tone of the movie it's in, and how well the costume fits the Spider-Man wearing it. Will you stop fucking texting me? Nero does stuff? Bastard. I'll be covering how well the costume fits the movie it's in, when it's applicable, and how well the costume fits the Spider-Man wearing it in terms of personality, and sort of the feel of who Spider-Man is in that movie. And, well, I guess you have to start with the Sam Raimi Spider-Man costume. This was the first time I ever saw Spider-Man. This was the first Spider-Man suit I ever saw, and it was the one in the Sam Raimi movie, and the design is wondrous. This is one of the first times that the original red and blue costume had to face sort of a redesign to the classic suit. This new suit uses painfully glued-on silver webbing with a set of gunmetal gray lenses and a front emblem in gray to match. This isn't the first time that Spider-Man had a live-action suit made for a production, but this is definitely one of the most popular of the first attempts. I made a set of images detailing sort of the differences between the classic iconic Spider-Man look and the costume we see in the iconic Sam Raimi set of movies. And now we're sort of going to go into an off-script section where I sort of talk about how this costume changed from, comics to real life. So we're gonna do that now, I guess. I'm so good at writing scripts and sticking to them. I should never do this again. Okay. I just need a little audio syncer. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the dissection part of this recording. There's no script. So we're just sort of going to get into it. I need to try to keep my mic close to my mouth. I noticed that when I edited the beginning segment of this video, that my audio would sort of waver in volume. But here we are. Here I have sort of a classic design of the Spider-Man costume. I tried to account for the era. This costume was made and designed in about 2001, so I tried to really think about what Spider-Man looked like around that time and sort of mesh all of his designs into one sort of cohesive classic Spider-Man suit, and then you have the classic Raimi suit on the right. So the last time I recorded and sort of used my drawing program to illustrate the ideas I was talking about, I went on for a little bit too long. So I'm going to try my hardest to sort of keep all these ideas compact. So we're going to get started here. So obviously the choice to make the webbing not black like it is over here was probably done for film reasons other than aesthetically. Sam Raimi said himself in an interview that he didn't want to make a new look for Spider-Man. He wanted it to be the same one that he grew up with.
The one thing I did not want to do was reinvent the Spider-Man costume. I didn't want to create for the kids a new look that was our look of Spider-Man. Instead, I felt that my job was more of a translation process.
But the silver webbing is probably the biggest change to the classic Spider-Man suit here in terms of color changes. Sure, things look different, but the webbing isn't silver. And I might be wrong, but this is the first instance I could think of the Spider-Man costume having silver webbing, unless you account for those variant covers of Ultimate Spider-Man where he kind of had silver webbing. I'll put some on screen now. But we're going to get into we're going to get back into it. Sam Raimi has put the most thought into how this suit would look on film and what kind of shots he could do with it, more than any other Spider-Man production I've seen. You never see anybody talk about the Spider-Man suit like Sam Raimi does. And he had a pretty big hand in designing the costume.
Hi, I'm gonna make a quick little cut-in with my shitty audio and say that I meant that Sam Raimi as the director, has a lot more work done on the suit than most other people who direct Spider-Man films. I'm saying that, like, Sam Raimi did a lot more work on the Spider-Man costume than most other directors who have picked up Spider-Man movies. That is what I meant. You usually don't ever see the director have input on the Spider-Man suit to the length that Sam Raimi does. Thank you, that is all.
So I think the shiny webs were made as a sort of aesthetic choice for Sam as like a filmmaker, because he wanted to make sure that the webbing could be seen in every shot. Because if the webbing was black, it might not blend in, or it might blend into the suit, actually, and I don't think that's what Sam wanted. And also, I think he chooses dark blue on sort of the secondary color of the suit, which is blue for Spider-Man, but I think he sort of went for a darker blue to sort of mediate between the either blue or black that was commonly used on the Spider-Man costume. You see, whenever the costume is shown, all the blue parts are heavily shaded with black, and so I think Sam wanted to compensate between those two colors and just settle for navy blue or dark blue. And with Sam Raimi's suit, you'll see a lot of the time that the webs will sort of split off in certain areas so that they can more properly coat the costume, because being a costume designer myself, sometimes splitting off the webbing on the costume can make it so that your web pattern is more consistent. You'll often find it in a lot of Spider-Man costumes around the neck area and on complicated places like the hands, sometimes the feet, and even sometimes on the head of the Spider-Man. I can't really think of a good transition for this thought, so I'm just going to move on. I'm going to credit the costume designer here because I don't remember his name, but I don't want him to go uncredited, despite the fact that I'm a small YouTuber man that I know for sure he will never see this video of. But there was a brick pattern placed on the reds and blues of the costume. I don't know why they did that, but I think it's cool. And since then, you'll actually find that almost every single live-action Spider-Man costume has sort of an interesting texture to it when you look up close. Like, for example, Andrew's costume had a honeycomb texture on it, and then in the second movie, he went back to the brick pattern that Toby had. Tom's has a dot texture a lot of the time. And yeah, you'll see that the brick texture sort of just sprucing up fabric that would just be normal and boring in a plain color. It just sort of becomes this fabric that has details on it when you look up close, which, being a costume designer myself, I can't fucking help myself. I tried doing detailing like this once, like a brick pattern. I tried it one time, it was like crack. I've never gone back. I've always tried to do suits with detailing. From this point onward, I will always try to use at least one fabric that has detail on it, other than it just being one color. So I indirectly blame the Sam Raimi Spider-Man suit for that, because I'm pretty sure it was the first costume to do that. And again, I'm not a walking encyclopedia for Spider-Man knowledge, okay? Despite how much I complain about this shit, I don't know everything about Spider-Man and Spider-Man costume designing. I got a lot of comments saying that, like, oh, well, I don't think that's how it should be, and I think you're wrong. Okay, I'm not saying you have to listen to me, okay? You can do your own thing. This is just general advice I'm giving you that I've been told is good advice by people in the comments, by people who I've made suits for before, people who make suits around me. Okay, fuck off. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be so mean. I'm sorry. And then here, you can actually see that they changed the back logo on the Spider-Man costume from usually just being a circle that has a bunch of legs sticking out of it. Like, usually, this is how the Spider-Man costume has been for a long time. I think the only time it's ever tried to even look like a spider more than just the oval with the fucking legs sticking out of it is when they put a little head on it back in the Ditko era. But after that, the back logo just stopped trying to look like a spider and just sort of became this sort of cartoony figure. But the Sam Raimi movie said, fuck you. Alright, this is a movie where a woman in a tank top gets rained on and her nipples show. This is realism. Alright, MJ's all about that free the nipple bullshit, and we're gonna do bold shit like that too. So we're gonna put an actual spider on the back of this costume. I'd probably say that's the second biggest change that the Sam Raimi movies made to the original Spider-Man suit, was actually putting realistic looking spiders on the costume. And, you know, I think it works well in their favor. And obviously, I'm gonna bring this up because this is the only time I'm gonna bring this up, because I know damn well if I didn't bring this up, I would get somebody in the comments complaining, being like, Kai, why didn't you review the 2002 version of the suit or the 2007 version of the suit? Because it looks like you mainly use footage from Spider-Man 2 for your costume of the Fuck you, okay? The Sam Raimi suit barely changes in any movie. Of course, I acknowledge that the Raimi 1 suit and the Raimi 2 suit are two slightly different costumes, but they don't really change. There's not really a big difference between the two of them, so I don't really feel bad for meshing all of the Raimi designs together into sort of this amalgamation of all of them. So just think of it as me using the Spider-Man. Essentially, I'm just critiquing the Raimi suit from Spider-Man 3. Yeah, but anyway, yes, of course, I obviously recognize that each Raimi suit has slight differences to it, but I think they are just way too slight to do separate videos on. They're pretty much just the same costume, okay? And you know what? Fine. Fuck you, okay? You made me do this, okay? You imaginary person that I'm making up in my head that's complaining about me meshing all the Raimi suits together, you made me do this. So I'm gonna fucking compare all the differences between the 3 times the Raimi suit has shown up in the Raimi trilogy. I'm not doing No Way Home because I don't have good footage to fucking dissect. Fuck you. Alright, I'm back. This is a recreation of the Sam Raimi suit in the first Spider-Man movie, created by Big Rig, Mr. Big Rig. I'm gonna put his Twitter on screen. Okay, that's his Twitter @ go follow him. Okay, this is his recreation of the model because I can't find any good pictures. Okay, granted, some things will obviously be wrong. Okay, there will be small things about this model that are incorrect, but it is just good enough of a recreation to be used. As you can see, the palms of this Spider-Man suit have no webbing. The webbing in the first Sam Raimi suit is everywhere on the suit except for the palms. Okay, you can also see that the eyes are slightly bigger on this suit compared to the suit in Spider-Man 2. This is a suit that compares the two costumes. This is just so you can look at the eyes. I'm not gonna compare the colors or any bullshit like that. But while we have this picture on screen, look at the differences between the emblems and also look at the size of the webbing. As you can see on the first suit, it looks to be a little thinner than it does on the second version of the costume. Now let's look at the back. Let's look at the back of the Big Rig recreation. This might look like the same back logo at first, but it's not. This is a different back logo. The back logo in Spider-Man 1 is way different from the back logo in Spider-Man 2. Alright, but it's too small of a change for me to consider these like two completely different suits. Obviously they are two completely different suits, but I'm not going to do two different suit dissections for a suit that just has small logo changes, small webbing changes, and small color changes. I mean, come on. Look at these two costumes. They are almost, let me emphasize that I am saying almost identical. Okay? And you know what? They are they're okay, look. They look the same, okay? They almost look the same. Almost, okay? I am fully aware that it is not the same costume. And these are two very different costumes, okay? Because I know you Raimi fanboys like to get very defensive, and don't shit on me, okay? I love the Sam Raimi movies. I really, really do. But sometimes you guys have way too far of a stick up your ass. What is this? What is this? Hold on. This is a Reddit post calling for the Sam Raimi suit in the Spider-Man PS4 video game to get an update because it's slightly inaccurate. What? Are you serious? Are you serious? Come on! Like, obviously they are not going to be exactly identical, but to go as far as to update the fucking game? Come on, man! Like, and I know I'm gonna get like 1 or 2 shitheads in my comments, despite me clearly fucking being, like, clearly, like, explaining why I'm not gonna do the shit that you tell me to do. But fuck off, okay? These suits are not fucking different enough for me to, like, make 2 different videos on. Alright? Damn. That was like a whole rant. That was like a whole... I'm not gonna have fun editing that. I just want y'all to know. I'm not gonna have fun editing that. Alright, so I'm gonna put a neat little bow on this right now. This is a very complicated video. I hope the next one is a little, you know, a little less shorter. I did find at times that, listening back, I had a little bit of trouble having a cohesive message, and at times I was worried that it wasn't really clear what I was trying to say. So I'm going to try to summarize a lot of the stuff I was saying earlier in the video in this end section. I am not going to do 3 separate videos on 3 different versions of the Raimi suit that are slightly modified. They are slightly modified in each movie they appear in, and I am not going to do a new video just because there is a new emblem or the colors are slightly different. I think that would be derivative, and that would kind of get you guys antsy and impatient to see the next suit in the list, which I am going to try to do all of them. But for my final thoughts on the Raimi suit, obviously, the Raimi suit is a wonderful costume. It did a great job of first exposing the world to Spider-Man. It was a wonderful translation from the comic book page to a fabric mess with glue and all this urethane webs and shit. It looks amazing. It is a wonderful translation. They did a great job, okay? This suit is amazing. It's a great first exposure to the character, which was, for a lot of Spider-Man fans, the first time they ever saw Spider-Man. And it was probably the best thing to first expose, you know, a kid to, if they're going to be a Spider-Man fan. That was one of the best things you could probably show the world, to make them all Spider-Man fans. And it looks wonderful. It looks great. It's an awesome costume. I'm going to do a tier list at the end of this series. I don't know if I'm going to put up a little infographic yet, but if I had to place the Raimi suit, I would put it very high up in the A tier. It's a wonderful costume. It's a great suit. I have no nitpicks about it. It's a great suit. There's nothing I can really critique, but it's not my favorite. Not because it's bad, but it's just not my favorite, personally. It doesn't fit my tastes for what I think, you know, my epitome of perfect Spider-Man suit would be. But that's not me saying it isn't bad. It's just not my favorite personally. Obviously, I acknowledge all of the, you know, I acknowledge its greatness. I understand it's great, but it's not my favorite. And that's okay. And if you want to shit on me, I don't fucking know, man. Go outside, alright? Do something a Spider-Man fan has never done before. Touch some goddamn grass. Or touch a woman, for God's sakes. You'd be the first Spider-Man fan to ever do that. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video. Thank you all so much for watching. You can follow me on Instagram at probablyspidey. You can follow me on TikTok at probablyspidey. I know a lot of you guys wanted me to grade some of your custom costumes. I've opened a Ko-Fi for that. If you send me a Ko-Fi donation, no matter how big, as long as it's over $1, I will grade your suit. All you have to do is just send me your Instagram with the @ of your Instagram account. Send me a message request with your costume, and as long as you've sent a Ko-Fi donation, I will grade your suit and critique it just like I did in the last video. Although it would be kind of odd if you paid for that. I'm not telling you to pay for that. It is kind of weird if you do, though. I'm a stranger on the internet, okay? Anyway, that's enough of me bashing you guys. Thank you so much. The black suit from the Raimi trilogy is next. I got a lot of things to say about that one. Thank you all so much, and I'll see you in the next video.